So our today's topic for this webinar is like when IT meets OT, why cybersecurity projects break down in industrial environment, lessons from the field. So basically what I will be discussing in this webinar that like what are the reasons why our cybersecurity projects literally struggle in industry when we have everything with us. So Memuna, can you please share the poll? So there will be the poll on with you, so you can like there is a question and there is option, so you can like answer those questions.
Uh, I cannot hear you.
Yeah, can you share the poll?
Yes, first poll is now. I'll be sharing it. So here it goes.
Yes, so this is the first poll. Like in your experience, what is the biggest challenge in OT cybersecurity project? Like, what do you think that is the biggest challenge? So there are some options. So as per your experience, you can like select one of these. All right. So, so for the major audience, opted for this operational constraints. Can we share the results, Mamuna?
Yes, yes, it is shared with everyone.
Yeah, so you can see that the major audience opted for the operation constraints, that they are thinking the operation constraints is the biggest challenge in OT cybersecurity project, and two of them is like technical complexity and one is vendor dependency. So the purpose of this poll is having that. So we will be knowing what exactly is the challenge for the or to cybersecurity project that we really face on site. So first is that key question. If you see in the bottom here, so why do technically sound cybersecurity projects struggle in industrial environment? So you can answer this in the chat or the in the answer session. So you can share your option here, your answer there. But the question is, why do technically sound project struggle in industrial environment? Like when we have everything with us, so why will project delay in industry? So first point is that the tech works. So the first point is that the technology works often work exactly as designed. The firewalls are correct, the intrusion detection systems is detecting, like everything is perfectly working for the technology side. So what if the technology works, where does this failure come from? So like if we have everything right now, like we know what we need to install, what we need to configure, what features we will have in our equipment. So when everything is there and we know everything, then what do you think, where comes the gap? So why our project fails? So the gap comes in the second step is the execution gap. If you see the points here, so there my cursor here, so we can see the execution gap here. So it comes from the execution. This is where the real breakdown happens. You can have the best solution in the world, but if the implementation plan does not account for how the plant actually operates, the shift schedules, the maintenance windows, the legacy systems, then you are setting up yourself for a failure. Like if you don't know how the actual site conditions are there, so no matter how much your technology is perfect, is the like in the high end technology you are using, but if you does not know your site conditions, so yeah, you are aiming to fail your projects. Okay, so so where comes this gap comes from? It comes from the third point, where the priority clash. So if you see the text here, IT and OT teams operate with different priorities. You know, in the industry there is some the information technology and OT is operational technology. So you can see these two teams have different priorities. Like, so if we discuss, let's say for IT team, what do you think that what IT team is, IT priorities has, and what are the priorities for OT team? So you can also text this in the chat, so I will see the response also. Like what are the priorities for the IT team and what are the priorities for the OT team in the industry. And meanwhile, as I mentioned, so IT and OT teams operate with different, fundamentally different priorities. IT teams are focused on confidentiality, data protection, patching cycle, and compliance timeline, basically. And what about the OT team? OT team, the number one priority for OT team is availability and system running up. Okay, so they cannot afford any single downtime in their running plant, in their running refinery, in their running infrastructure. So like if the 4 hour window in IT, like if you are taking the downtime to configure one switch in IT, it could cost around $1 million in OT system. Like the OT team really does not want to bear any single second loss in the what you say in their running operations. So they have these two teams have their different priorities. So the fourth point is that underestimated. Like sometimes operation realities are underestimated when we are planning our projects in terms of project management. So what do I mean by this is that like the control system that have been running for 15 years, like if you have any control system, any DCS system that is running for 15 years, that cannot be patched, and the network that was never designed in a security mindset. Like when you were designing the system, there was no security in your mindset. Like 16 years ago, 17 years ago, 18 years ago, when you were designing this system. So the plant manager, if you work in the industry, the plant managers, the operation managers, they see the cybersecurity as a disruption. They will not allow you to touch any system. They said, no, our operations are running, so we will be not allowing you to touch any system, because this may or will impact our operations. Okay, so if your project plan does not account all these realities, priority clash, execution gaps, then your project will not be successful. You may have a technically sound project, but in the execution of the project will not be that matter. Okay, so these are the items that we are really in the industry we really don't talk about. And but the last point, alignment matter, is the critical point here. Like project success depend upon the alignment. Okay, not technology only. Like as I told you earlier, if we have a very best technology of the world that we are using in our project, we are using high-end firewalls, we are using high-end intrusion detection systems, we are using high-end switches, but if we are not aligned with the team work on the side, with the execution team, with the vendors, then there will be no successful execution, and our project will fail because of the alignment, not because of the technology. Um, like when everyone is will be on the same page, like when vendors, execution team, the site team, the end user team, everyone will be on the same page. They really understand what we are talking about, what our project will have the impact on the industry, will impact on the operation, will impact on the cybersecurity controls, cybersecurity items, then we will be able to achieve our projects in a successful and safe manner. Otherwise, we will have the best technology, but we will not be having the alignment, and this will impact our project execution, and we will fail in our project. So the purpose of highlighting these items is that we need to understand that these are the items that should not be underestimated. Okay, so Mamuna, can you share the next poll, please?
It's on the screen.
Yeah. So the question is, which objective usually gets the highest priority in an organization? All right. So for the answers and words that I have with me is that the major team selected the cybersecurity part, that the main objective, the highest priority objective is for them is the cybersecurity, and say the one selected production and then the safety. Okay, let's see through the webinar. So what we have, like we will see what is going on in the industry. Yes. So as we have identified that our projects in the industry do fail because of the alignment, not of the technology. So and we have identified the root cause of the project. So let's take this from a project management perspective, because when you are managing an OT cybersecurity project, you are not just managing tasks and timelines. You are managing two fundamentally different stakeholders, IT and OT. Okay, because of they have different priorities. As you can see on the screen, IT team had their priority, OT team have their priorities. So so where we need to where we need to balance this thing. Okay, so I will discuss one by one from left to right. So first point is confidentiality and availability. So when you are building your project scope and requirements, your IT stakeholder will prioritize confidentiality, data protection, access control, and encryption standards. Okay, and but about your OT stakeholders, so their number one acceptance criteria is availability. Okay, as I mentioned in my previous slide, if anything's disturbing their production, if anything disturbing their system availability, and they will not allow this. So this is the priority for IT team, and the IT team is the availability is not a priority for them. Okay, so the second point is the security control. Like this is where your project WBS stand for work breakdown structure in project management. So when your IT team will define work package around deploying security controls, firewall, endpoint agents, access policy, they will estimate their project efforts based on the IT deployed timelines. Okay, but when you are planning for your projects, and you will keep in mind that the major concern for you is to the production continuity. Okay, so the production team will ask you, okay, you are coming here to deploy the project, deploy your task, deploy your activity here. So what this activity will have the impact on my process, on my production. So you should have considered these items in your project schedule, project timelines, project management. So if you does not have any idea what is going on and what will be the impact on the production, what will be the impact on the process, then you are aiming to fail, and like it will have the impact on your production and process. Okay, the third point is the rapid patching and operational stability. In IT, as you all know that in IT, the patching of the system is easy comparatively in OT. Okay, you can patch anything. There will be no issue. There will be no system breakdown. There will be no production loss. But in the operation, we cannot patch everything. Like if let's say the firewall patch comes up, we directly patch it in the system. No, what we did, we analyzed that patch, if it is okay for the production, if it is not okay for the production process, and then we implement this patch after taking the certain approvals from different stakeholders in the industry. So these things If the project managers, the project management team will not consider in mind, so the project, as I mentioned, will be definitely failed without having like if regardless whatever technology you have. Okay, the uh, the the fourth point is the standardization versus reliability. From a resource planning and procurement perspective in your project, your IT team will push for standardization. Okay, one platform, one vendor, one configuration across the board. This simplifies their procurement, reduce training cost, because everybody will know, okay, if we have, let's say, XYZ system, an ABC system, we will be having this one standardized system. Okay, so but OT environments are built on reliability and often means legacy system, proprietary controls, site specific configuration. Like you cannot standardize a 15-year-old DCS the same way you standardize a window. Okay, there is a difference between that. Okay, so your resource plan needs specialists who understand each vendor system, and your training plan need to cover multiple platform, like because you are not talking about only one system, you will be talking about different system in the industry. Okay, but deployed by different OEMs, so your plan should also covering all these aspects. Last but not the least is the cyber risk in IT and safety risk in OT. Okay, so your IT stakeholder assess cyber risk, likelihood of a breach, financial impact, compliance penalties, reputational damage. Your OT stakeholder assess what safety risk. Okay, they only concern about what will it will have impact on the environment, what it will have impact on the personal, what they will impact on the operations, what it will have the impact on the my production side. Okay, you need to manage your risk accordingly. You cannot have a one unified risk register for this. No, you need to manage in a way that you are also covering the cyber risk and also making sure that you are covering the safety risk as well in your risk management process, risk management plan. So what is the challenge? IT have their priorities, OT have their priorities. So neither side is wrong. Okay, whenever somebody asks you IT are wrong, IT stakeholders are wrong, no, neither side is wrong. So where is the challenge then? If you see in the last line, the challenge arises when cybersecurity objectives are implemented without fully understanding operational requirements and benefit realities. Like if a project manager, if the project team is going to implement the cybersecurity objective without understanding the operation requirements, without understanding the items like I mentioned here, so there will be no successful project, and you will be like aiming to fail in this project. Okay, in any project that you will be um, doing in your in your industry. Okay, yes. Can you, Memuna, can you share one another poll, please?
Yes. Give me a minute. Yes. It's live.
Yes. Which would you rather accept? High cyber risk, 8-hour production downtime.
It's really interesting to see that people are willing to have 4 hour production downtime.
Yep, I see that people are would rather accept the 8-hour production time rather than taking the high cyber risk. Okay, so let's as we have talked about IT and OT speak different language and how they creates a friction in cybersecurity projects. Now let's take a step back and understand how we got here. Okay, so because the industrial cybersecurity challenge we face today did not happen overnight, it is the result of fundamental transformation in how industrial environment are designed and operated, and understanding this evaluation is critical to understand why cybersecurity has become not just important but absolutely essential in OT. So let me start on the left side, the traditional OT environment. The first point is isolated control system. So like your DCS, your PLCs, your SCADA, they were standalone. Okay, so they lived in their own life. They communicated with each other through proprietary protocols on dedicated networks that had no connection to the outside world. If you want to access a controller, you simply can go physically in a room where this PLC, the control system, is there. So there was no remote login, there was no web interface, there was no mobile application. The system was isolated by design. That isolation was its greatest security feature here. The second point, minimum external connectivity. The OT network didn't talk to corporate network. It didn't talk to internet. It didn't talk to the cloud. There were no email servers. There was no web browser, no USB ports being used to transfer the files. The attack surface were like nearly to zero from external perspective in the traditional OT environment. The only way to compromise this system was to physically be there. Okay, so the physical security took care of that. The third point is limited cybersecurity requirements. Because these systems were isolated, so there was like little or like somehow about to say no regulatory or business pressure to implement cybersecurity controls. No one was asking for firewall in the control room. Everyone was running very fine. The concept of patching a control system did not really exist in the way we think right now. Okay, security was physical locks in this. So this was the the traditional OT environment. The last one is the vendor managed environment. So the control system vendor, whether it was I would not say the name, but it is, let's say if the vendor DCS vendor was ABC or XYZ, they built the system, they configured it, they maintain it, they were responsible for it. The asset owner like XYZ refinery, as XYZ, the petrochemical plant, any system owner, they relied heavily on the vendor for everything from commissioning till troubleshooting. So this is meant fewer people touching the system, fewer changes being made, and a very controlled, very stable operating environment was there. So now if you see the transition, so that worked well for a very long time, but something happened. We called it digital transformation, and everything is changed. Now we are here, modern industrial environment. So let's see it one by one. So if you see the remote access requirement, so during and after the COVID, especially COVID pandemic, the demand for remote access to OT system exploded. Okay, so vendor needed remote access for maintenance, engineer needed remote access for monitoring, and the management needed remote access for dashboard to see the data, to make some decisions. Suddenly systems that designed to be isolated are now having connections throughout the remote desktop sessions. So sometimes the setup in a hurry without proper security controls, and every remote access now is a cybersecurity risk. Like we are having the benefits, but it is also having some cybersecurity risk as well from the outside to our critical OT system. Okay. Then if you see the cloud integration, so the organization are now they pushing their historian data to the cloud, running analytics to see the data, doing different data analysis. The benefits are real, like they can have the better scalability, low infrastructure cost. But as our data is going to the cloud, the producing now everything like at risk, like what we are producing information about our processes and information about equipment asset is at cybersecurity risk. Okay, so I understand we are getting the benefits, but with the benefits we are also having some risk in place in this modern industrial environment. So the second last is the digital transformation. initiatives. As you know, so different industries have initiated their they are doing for digital transformation, and they are like they IT can talk to OT can talk to OT can talk to IT can talk to their different enterprise initiatives. So every like there was no bound previously, there was boundary only OT system. Now there is no boundary, data is flowing from one boundary to another boundary and boundary to another boundary. So we need to have the proper cybersecurity risk management in place. Some mitigation plans are there. The rollback plan should be there, so we can avoid any risk that could happen, God forbid, in any industry, any petrochemicals plants, any critical industries. So finally, the enterprise connectivity. The OT network is no longer an island, okay? It's connected to corporate world for business reporting. It's connected to different ERP systems. It's connected to supply chain platform, to laboratory system, to planning network. It is connected to, like, you can say, everything right now, okay? So because it is driving the business value. So like like a phishing attack or any kind of attack has the more risk right now, is if we compare to the traditional OT environment to our modern industrial environment. And that brings us to the bottom line of the slide. So if you can see that greater connectivity that we are having right now has increased our business value, but as long as this has also increased our cyber risk that we have right now. Previously in the traditional OT environment project, everything was like very somehow comparatively easy to manage, but right now we need to be very careful in our project planning, project resource planning, project like throughout the project or program planning, that we need to consider these threats in mind, these items in mind, so we will be able to execute our project in a better way. Otherwise, if our projects planning will not be considered like these items, so our project will definitely fail in industry. I would request Memuna, if you can please share another poll, please.
Yes, in a minute.
Yes, in your experience, what is the where is the most effort spent? Technical implementation, stakeholder management, documentation and compliance, and governance and approvals.
Well, in my opinion, I think the most time the OT environment, the main time is spent on documentation and compliance. But let's see what our participants are going to say.
So for now, it is like the I have seen that there is a more like time. They more time and more effort are being spent on the documentation and compliance, and lesser on the stakeholder management and governance and approval. So let's see. So you can see like from this slide, basically this is very important slide for all of you. That now I want to show you something that I think will fundamentally change how we think about OT cybersecurity projects. Um, we have been talking about IT OT misalignment, different priorities. IT speak different language, OT speak different language. They have different priorities with them. But let me like put some data behind what we have been discussing, because the numbers tell a very compelling story right now. So when you're looking at like this is like a 26-year trend analysis of what actually causes OT cybersecurity project to fail. We have mapped the root cause of the project failure from the year 2000 till the year 2026, and we have grouped these causes into two major category. If you see on the slide, so one is the technical challenges and other is the organizational challenges. In organizational challenges are in green, technical challenges are in red. So let's walk through from this data what this data is telling us. So let's start in the year 2000 here. So back then 65% of the project failure were attributed to the technical challenge. Okay, and that made sense. OT cybersecurity was in its infancy. The products were immature. There were very few solution designed specifically for industrial environment. Firewall could not handle industrial protocols. There was no purpose built OT cybersecurity monitoring controls. Most of the time, a project failed. It was because of the technology generally could not was needed. Like in this, whenever the project was we were doing the challenge was that technology. We were struggling with the technology for the project. But frankly, there weren't many OT cybersecurity projects to create that friction, because we were having only the standard project. There was no cybersecurity projects that we were executing to secure the infrastructure for the for the critical infrastructure in the industry. So if you say to the year 2005, we start to see a shift. The technical challenges dropped to 58 from 65%, while the organization factor raised from 35 to 42% here. What happened? The technology start getting better. The vendor began developing OT aware security solutions, industrial firewall, network monitoring tools, asset discovery platforms start appearing. But as more project was we were conducting the more project, organization began countering a new set of problems. Okay, IT teams and OT team could not agree on approach. Like if you see here, there's an IT OT misalignment still here. Okay, so the IT team and OT team could not agree on approach. Operations pushed back on deployed solutions, and the governance framework did not exist for OT cybersecurity. So there was still the problem mixed with the technical side as well as onto the organizational factor as well. But if you see the 2010 year, so this is the like inflection point, the crossover. Okay, so the technical and organizational factors are now equal, 50-50. The technology has matured significantly. Most technical problems have non-solutions. But the organizational challenge have grown just as fast. Companies are struggling with questions like whom on OT cybersecurity. If it is being owned by IT, owned by OT team, what department will be there? Who will govern it? Like how do we get buy-in from the plant manager who see as a disruption? Like how do we build schedule that respect maintenance window? The technology works, but the organization is not ready for this. Here in the 2010, if you see the technology was there, but the organization was not ready. The most organizations were having some issues in like finalizing who will on what. Okay, but if you see the 2015 data, the balance has tipped here. Okay, so the organizational factor now account for 58% here, while technical challenges are getting down from 50 to 42%. This is the era of increasing digital transformation. Here 2015, companies are investing heavily in OT cybersecurity, but they are discovering that the hard part is not buying the right product. It is implementing in an environment where multiple stakeholders have different priorities, like IT and OT, where governance is fragmented and where the organization culture has not caught up. So they are having the very good technology, but they are still they are struggling for this organization challenges. If you see here, you can see what are the factors that we are talking about in organizational factors and technical side. Okay, in 2020, it accelerates this trend dramatically. 67% organization and 33% technical problem. Okay, so the COVID hits. remote access deployments are rushed, OT cybersecurity projects are launched under emergency timeline, and every organization weakness is exposed. Projects that were planned for 18 months are compressed to 6 months. Stakeholder alignments are skipped. OT team are left out of planning discussions. Governance framework does not exist. So what was the result? The project that are technically sound but organizationally broke. Okay, so this is where it happens. So let's discuss now 2026. We have reached a point where 75% of project failure are driven by organizational factor and only 25 by technical challenges. Let's let that sink for a moment. Okay, 3 out of every 4 projects are failing due to organizational factor, and one is failing on the only the technical challenge. Now we don't have any don't have any issues with the technology. We have the digital transformations. Technology is very vast. The technology is very like the consultants, the experts have very heavily invested their time and effort to ensure that they are choosing the right technology for this, but still the projects are failing. As you see, 75%, like 3 out of 4 projects are failing due to the IT/OT misalignments, operational constraints, governance gaps, stakeholder resistance, unrealistic schedule. So the technology has like never be better. We have like purpose built OT cybersecurity the platform where we can like say this. So what this mean practically? It means like 3 things. First, if you are investing in OT cybersecurity, don't just invest in technology. Okay, invest equally, if not more, in change management, stakeholder alignment, and governance, because that's where your project is most likely to fail. If you have very good and high technology, high-end devices, but if you are not investing on the stakeholder alignment, if you are not investing in the governance, if you are not investing in the change management, your project will fail. Okay, the second point, that your project team needs more than engineers. Okay, you need people who understand OT operations, you who can bridge the IT OT gap, who can navigate organizational politics, who can build consensus around departments. The technical skills are necessary but not sufficient. Okay, so we need the people who can understand other than the technical items, the operational requirements, realities, their expectations, their requirements. So then we will be able to build our project plan, project's execution in a much efficient way. So if you can see that from this in 2000, if you can summarize this slide, from 2000 there were technical 65% technical challenges, organization 35%. Now in 2026 we have technical 25 and organization 75% challenges we are still struggling with. All right, so Mamuna, can you share the poll again, please?
That was the last pool we have. If you want, I can create one.
No issue. All right. So as we have discussed, like the OT, IT, OT boundaries, and we have already discussed like what are the issues that we are facing. We have discussed the trends. So the real challenge is not the technology; it is the balancing competing business priorities. So if you work if in a typical industry, you will see these departments: cybersecurity departments, operation departments, HSC department, and management. This will be for sure will be there. So they have different priorities. Okay, so I will discuss one by one. So on the left side we have cybersecurity. Okay, whose mandate is to secure everything. That means patching vulnerabilities immediately. Okay, closing exposure point, enforcing compliance with external standards, reducing overall cyber risk. From this lens, every unpatched system is a liability. If they see anything unpatched, if this is not complying with the cybersecurity requirements, they will be very upset. Okay, so if you see the other team, operations, So as you all know that operation is, they only have one mission in their life, that keep production running. There should be no any downtime. The priority is to avoiding downtime, maintaining throughput, protecting availability, and avoiding operational risk. From them, like for them, a sudden patch or reboot in the middle of production run in itself is a risk, and like sometimes a bigger one than the vulnerability they're trying to fix. Basically, they don't want any single second disruption in their production. Okay. So the next is HSE, ensure safety. Okay. They're meant to ensure safety, preventing incident, ensuring regulatory compliance, managing process risk, the maintaining safe operation. In industrial setting, any change to a control system is a potential safety event, or so HSE has to be in conversation before anything gets touched. Like as you see in the industry, there are method statements. They need the approval, risk assessment. They need to do any activity before advance. Okay, they need the proper approval. What God forbid, what can go wrong, what can go in good. So they need to take everything in written, and they ensure that the proper safety is there. And there is the management. As you see, the management, like whose mandate is to reduce cost and deliver benefits. Okay, they are focused on controlling budgets, accelerating delivery, maximizing return of investment, and meeting business objective. They need security investment to show measurable value. Okay. So you can see the like conflict here. Cybersecurity want to patch now, operation want to no disruption. HEC want every change validated for safety. Management wants it cheaper and faster. Okay, so these priorities are legitimate. We cannot say that these are not legitimate, but they are not aligned. So what? So if you see in the bottom, so what's the project manager role or project team role? Okay, they need to translate security requirements into operationally acceptable and safe solution. Okay, we are the ones, like project managers, project management team are the one holding the balance between security, availability, safety, cost, and schedule. We don't pick one priority over the other. Okay, we find the path that respect all of them. That mindset is what makes a security project succeed in a live production environment, instead of stalling at the first objection. Okay, so this is like where becomes the project manager role. So you cannot say, okay, I will only focus on the operations, so there will be the, I can compromise on the HSE. No, there is no compromise on anything, but you have to balance in a way that you are achieving the security, achieving the production availability, achieving the safety, and ensuring that you are doing the project within budget of cost and schedule. So with this, so if you have any question, you can share in the question tab. We will discuss it later. So this slide, OT cybersecurity project reality, one scenario. I have added one scenario here. For example, firewall upgrade plan. Okay. So here you can see we need to upgrade like a firewall. Okay, so what are the requirements? You, mashallah, are very on this, like you on the requirements. You need to secure the site permit. You need to take the operational approvals. You need to take the risk assessment, as I mentioned, method statement approvals. You need to make sure that any industry where you are working, their customer or end user personal should be available there. The maintenance window is there, and the rollback plan should be there in case, God forbid, anything happens with the upgrading firewall. So you can see the you from this, what is coming in your mind, that the 4 hour plan duration that you put in your schedule, that firewall upgrade activity is 4 hours, and when it comes to actual, you can see that the 4 weeks preparation efforts. So in OT environments, the 1 day activity may require 1 month of coordination. Okay, so as a project manager, project team, you need to make sure that any items that you are putting in your schedule, and you are planning the time and duration, you are covering all the aspect in your plan, so then you will be able to plan your project in a better way, so that you will be succeeding. If you miss anything, like if you plan your project without considering the customer personal availability, or if you have not taken the operational approval, if you have not taken the site access, so you will fail in your activity and in your project basically. So as you can see in the last line here, the in OT environment, one day activity may require 1 month of coordination. I will highlight here that this is not an inefficiency. Okay, it's the reality of working in environment where safety, availability, and the process risk all have to be respected before any change is made. Okay, so you cannot go directly to the plant and you can start configuring your firewall, installing your firewall, and taking the deploying your firewall. So you need to have all these items ready with you. Okay, when stakeholders ask why an OT cybersecurity project takes longer or cost more than IT, so the answer, this slide answers this question. Okay, you can say that we need to secure this, we need to respect the window, maintenance window, we cannot avoid the we cannot disrupt the operations. So like this is what it is making more costly, and this is what it's making more longer than simple IT projects. Okay, so this will be the last slide for this webinar. So practical recommendation for project managers. So as we so we discussed OT cybersecurity fails. So let's finish with something more important: how to make them succeed. Okay, so how can we can make our project success? So there are some recommendations here. First is, if you see from here, from learn OT language. So if IT talks about vulnerability and compliance, and the operation talk about uptime, safety, and production, successful project manager understand both word and act as a translator, okay, between IT and OT. If you don't know what they are talking about, what IT stakeholders expectations are, what OT stakeholder expectations are, then you will fail. So you need to make yourself you make your plans in a way that you understand these their languages as well. Okay, then build trust with operations early. So this, like, don't involve operations only when you need the approval. Like, you are coming to site, we need your approval, so this is you are greeting them with the first time. Okay, no, involve them with your when you are planning your project, when you're developing your schedule, when you are assessing the risk. Okay, so they will help you. If you engage them in advance, they will definitely help you. The third point is manage risk early. So in OT environments, a risk ignored today, they become a problem tomorrow. Okay, so you need to manage your risk in a way that you are not overlooking any risk in your project. Okay, challenge unrealistic schedule. Like, sometimes it happens then when you are prepared a schedule considering all the items, and the project manager from customer side, they will say, no, this is a very long item, or it should take less time. So you need to like challenge that this is like not acceptable, or like you need to tell them reasonably that these are the issues, these are the items that we need to take care of that before doing this activity. Okay, engage vendor as a strategic partner. So like the vendors, they are not just supplier. Okay, so they are finally establish strong governance, clear decision, clear ownership, and clear escalation path that can solve problem that you have. Because in right now, due to any situation, so we need to ensure that our vendors are with us, totally aligned, so there is no issue in the execution as well. So this is mere adoption, not just deployment. So installing a firewall is an activity, but reducing risk is an outcome. So we need to make sure that we are achieving the outcomes, not just focusing on this activity. So this is for the webinar. So last, like, I would like to I would like you to remember from today is that the in OT cybersecurity project, technology is really the reason for success. Alignment is, we need to make sure that we are aligning with the people, we are aligning with all the stakeholders, IT, OT, operations, safety management, to make our project success. Because cybersecurity protects assets and project management if aligned in a better way, so we can have our project successful. So because when IT and OT moves in the same direction, cybersecurity scope stops being just a project, and it becomes a business enabler for the customer side and for your side as a vendor or contractor side. So this is all from my side. So if there's any question, please feel free to ask.
Yes, we have 3 in our question box. Can you see that?
Yep, I have seen.
Yeah.
Okay, so first is looking back at projects you have delivered. What early warning sign indicates that a project is heading towards trouble? So if like uh, yes, so if you are having a schedule in your kickoff meeting, that is very good. So the I have read one quotation that if the project schedule very good in the kickoff meeting, so it is the most expensive schedule. Okay, so you can have this project scheduling and in like lead times of the schedule of the items, that if the procurement is there, whether the procurement vendors are onboarded us or no, what if the any downtime is required, if the operations are onboarded with us or no. So we need to see in a way that every stakeholder is aligned with us. So these are the early warning. Instead of waiting till the execution when we are going to site, we need to do this in advance when we are initiating and planning our project. All right. So the second point, how can project managers effectively balance cybersecurity requirements with operational priorities such as uptime, safety, and production continuity? It is very easy and simple that if when you are scheduling your plan, you are with your technical team, you are like scheduling what activities literally required which shutdown. So when you are appropriately and timely discussing with the operational team that we will be requiring this shutdown, so then you will be able to know that okay, if you can do or no. Sometimes if your activities are having requiring the shutdown, they may not give you a simple small 15-20 minute shutdown. It may require a mega shutdown as well. So they will say okay, please wait, when we have the shutdown we will do this activity there. We cannot avoid when we cannot stop our production right now. So you can negotiate in a way that you are getting your activities done when you are having the proper shutdown. The last question, in your experience, what is the biggest misconception IT team have when approaching cybersecurity projects industry? Because the mix of misconception, as I mentioned, IT team they are less concerned about availability because of the mindset. They are more concerned about rapid patching. But in OT, when they come to OT, they need to understand that there are separate priorities of OT team. There is availability, production, there is no downtime required, and the proper approval documentation is required for this for to do any activity in OT instead of IT. So I believe I have answered all the questions that were there.
Yes, and we are almost, our time is almost up. Thank you so much, Adi. It was a really great session to have you back on our show, and I would really like to invite you again on our show again so that people could learn more realistic examples from you, and uh, we can discuss in detail how the IT and OT world is colliding, and what we can do in order to protect OT cybersecurity of the future. For this
Sure.
specific reason, we have designed our next webinar, which will talk about OT cybersecurity 2.0, building governance and governance driven by the resilience. Sorry, let me say that again. Building governance driven by resilience. It will be hosted on Tuesday, 30th June, and the timing would be the same, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. KSA time. I will leave this slide up for 1 minute so you can scan and register in advance. Uh, before we go for today, shut down for the day, I would like to share one important information with you. The certificate of participation will be dispatched today. By within 1 hour, you will receive an email. In case you don't receive an email, please send us your query through webinars@otasolution.com, and you can scan the QR code as well. Also, this link will be the registration link will be in your along we will send this along with the certificate, so you can register at that moment in time. For now, I would like to say goodbye, and we'll like to see you again in our next session. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a really great day.